scary movies. People seem to love going to the cinema to deliberately get scared so they can experience that quick thrill of terror while feeling safe in the comfort of their own cinema seats. For many decades now, people have flocked to their local cinemas in order to watch scary movies. What is it about the human race? Why do we love getting terrified so much? Whatever it is, when it comes to horror movies, or rather scary movies, we can't get enough of them, as the sands of time of cinema have proven that when it comes to horror movies, movie audiences love nothing better than experiencing a sense of terror in their local cinemas. As long as we have had cinema, there have been scary movies. Nowadays it's found footage movies, but before that it was torture porn, and before that there were slasher movies, and before that there was haunted suburbia movies, and before that there were monster movies, and before that there were demonic children movies, and before that there were demented killer movies, and before that there were hammer horror movies, and before that there was the Universal monster movies, and before that there were silent horror classics like Nosferatu. But the big question is, what was the very first one? What was the movie that gave birth to our love of being terrified in movie theatres? What was the very first movie to strike fear into our hearts and kickstart a new type of adrenaline-fueled entertainment? Well, believe it or not, but the very first film to ever cause sheer panic was called Train Pulling Into a Station. And no, this film didn't feature a deranged serial killer wearing a mask. It didn't feature an evil entity tormenting a poor family. And it didn't even feature an inhuman monster. Nope. What Train Pulling Into the Station has is... Right, you ready for this? Yeah, get ready for this. A train pulling into a station. Originally titled Arrivi de un train en gare de la ciutat, but retitled to Train Pulling Into a Station in the UK, it was an 1895 French silent movie, only lasting 50 seconds in length. This movie is exactly what it says in the title, a train pulling into a station. Nothing cryptic or complicated. Don't be expecting any kind of Inception-style plot twists in this movie. Train pulling into a station is a train pulling into a station. So it leaves one big question. What the hell is so terrifying about this exactly? Because when the movie was shown to audiences in movie theatres for the very first time, people ran for terror when the train approached the screen, thinking that they were indeed going to get hit by the image of an incoming train. Such was the terror that in some cases, in fits of panic, some moviegoers dived out of their seats and ran to the back of the movie theatre in an attempt to save their lives from the impending doom of this approaching train, generally believing that their days were numbered and that somehow a giant black and white train on a movie screen was going to run them down. It was the first time there was a fear and panic in a movie theatre. The first time audiences weren't quite so safe within their humble environments while watching a movie. For lack of a better word, it unintentionally started an emotion and custom that we have repeatedly tried to recapture ever since in the movie world, and still do to this day. By sheer accident, a subgenre in the world of entertainment was born. Now, we could put it down to maybe the movie audience in question were a bit dumb. But I think we also have to realise that these people were just products of their time. You see, back in the late 1800s and early 1900s, cinema was very much a new phenomenon. It was a real novelty to be able to see these so-called moving pictures. But not everyone was accustomed to this new domain in the arts. And certainly before this, no one had ever come this close to an actual moving train. It was a sight that many living eyes were yet to see. Back in those days, movies did only last a matter of minutes, if not seconds, in which mundane moments in life would be captured and displayed on the big screen, for those who were interested in this new motion capturing art form to see. But clearly, filming an actual moving train may have proven to be a bit too much too soon. But in order to go further with talking about train pulling into a station, I think I'm going to have to review train pulling into a station. Only I'm not going to review it in a contemporary modern way. Nope, I am going to review it as if it was 1895. So as mentioned, the film came out in 1895. But while we're at it, let's go through some other facts. The movie was directed by the Lumiere brothers. Auguste and Louis Lumiere are considered the inventors of moving pictures. In other words, they created the technology which invented movies. So to this day, whenever you watch a movie, no matter what the movie is, you have the Lumiere brothers to thank for it, as they pioneered motion picture technology. Some of their movies included footage of workers leaving factories, along with people doing gardening and a family eating breakfast. Each one of their movies only lasted a mere 40-odd seconds. But the Lumiere brothers really entered the pop culture domain with L'arrivée d'un train en gare de la Criat, otherwise known as train pulling into a station. The Lumiere brothers filmed the terrifying locomotive arriving at a French coastal town of La Coyotat. And it was meant to just simply depict normal everyday life. And it is believed that the commuters appearing in the movie weren't normal commuters, but were in fact extras performing in the film. Hence the fact that no one seems weirded out by the fact that someone is pointing a huge camera box at them. And the short film held its premiere on December the 28th, 1895 at the Grand Café at 14 Boulevard Les Capucines in Paris. Without a doubt, the movie is a landmark in the modern cinema. It showed us what can be achieved with the power of video technology, that we can see things on film from angles we could never view from them before. It was a technical marvel in the movie world, a testament to cinematography and the interesting ways the world can be seen through a camera lens. And even more mind-blowing is even as early as back then, the Lumiere brothers were trying to get 3D motion picture technology on the way and release the movie in a 3D print. And given the terror the 2D version caused, it's probably a good thing that never happened. But what of the fear it caused people? Can there actually be a scientific reason as to why it caused such terror in people, and why since then we have had a love for being terrified of the big screen? Well, humans by nature have a fascination with fright and terror, but we can also accept the unrealism of what we are watching. In other words, we might love watching horror films and love the terror and tension they cause because we have a level of safety in psychologically knowing that what we are watching is not real. And according to scientists, when we watch scary movies, all kinds of psychological phenomenons happen to our bodies physically, such as our heart rates go up, along with accelerated breathing, causing an increased blood flow from the heart. Our muscles tense up in anticipation for something unexpected to happen. We get more movement in our eyes, as the threatening nature of watching scary movies heighten our awareness. Our adrenaline levels go through the roof, and this seems to be the main chemical involved when it comes to why so many people love to be terrified while watching scary movies. As adrenaline is the body's rapid reaction to fear, but often adrenaline can feel quite pleasurable. And to top it off, viewers who are watching scary movies may have an increase in brain reaction activity. So are these chemical components how the theatre audience felt when they saw a train pulling into a station for the first time? And if so, did people suddenly realise that they liked this rush or feeling and emotion they got from the terror of the big screen? There are other explanations for the terrifying reception the movie inflicted on its viewers back in the late 1800s. For example, some people claim that the camera angle used by the Lumiere brothers is that of a very imposing one, and that it actually may have been their intention to create something visually terrifying and imposing. A long shot of a face-on approaching train heading straight for those watching it. However, there are some more logical explanations. You see, 2 months before the screening of the movie, a terrible train accident happened in Paris, in which a train smashed its way through a second-story wall and plummeted down below to an unsuspecting street. It is suggested that the recent accident of what happened may have been fresh in the minds of the viewers whom watched train pulling into the station, and thus the image of an approaching locomotive caused an instant fearful reaction. But either way, this short, silent black and white film is a testament to the world of cinema and has helped shape and pioneer movies to what they are today. It was the film that gave birth to our love of motion picture. The film that made us want to go back to the theatre for more. The film that showed us what a rush getting scared while watching movies can be. In reality, Train Pulling Into a Station is the first film that ever terrified people. The first horror movie, if you will. Although it's blasé by today's standards, of course, but it still deserves a mentioning when it comes to exploring the roots of modern horror movies. It was the movie that gave birth to our love of getting terrified while watching films. Although it was sheer panic that very first time, we as a species have desperately tried to recapture that same sensation ever since. An emotion created by accident that we have permanently sought out for even to this day. So thanks to Train Pulling Into a Station, we now have a certified love for getting terrified in the comfort of a movie theatre, and as mentioned, it's a love that has stuck with us ever since. So that was my look into the world's very first scary movie. I hope you all enjoyed it and weren't too scared. Anyway, I'm Minty, and I've got a train to catch.